Welcome to the news and why it matters. I am Sara Gonzales, today joined by Glenn Beck, Stu Burguiere, and Chad Prather. Happy to have you gentlemen here.
Thank you.
I just feel the testosterone in the air.
Do you? Gosh.
Yeah,
That's
it's a little
How
intimidating.
come you don't invite women on this show?
Yeah. What's your deal?
Why are
started
you
wondering-
Sexist, yeah.
Okay.
That's what it is.
I never thought about it till someone brought it up. It just happened to be a woman.
We're all talking about it. We're all
Really?
talking about it. Now that it's out there, you got to answer for it.
Well, I mean, I'm a sexist. What can I say?
Okay, all right.
What's your top story, Glenn?
Top story would be Buttigieg and how off the mark the Democratic Party is with the American people, with their own voters, I think.
All right, Stu.
I was reading a column on a website, theblase.com, and there was an author there, Garland Blech, I believe was his name, and he was talking about how the Nazis apparently were socialists, and I found this to be fascinating because Vox was just telling me they weren't socialists.
That author was Glenn
said
Beck, and it was the Blaze.
They said Garland Blech.
I thought that was the name. I'm sorry, I wasn't familiar, but it seemed like kind of a weird guy, but he made some good points. I thought we'd talk about that.
Hold it.
All right, Chad.
I'm an angry white male, and apparently these days you can actually get college credit for studying about my species.
Oh, can't wait to get into that. First, we want to thank our sponsor, iTarget Pro. So if you think that shooting laser bullets sounds cool, laser bullets.
Yeah.
We've got the product for you. iTarget Pro, as you can see through this video here, the dry firing, as Glenn always says, dry firing is the best way to get to know your gun, and iTarget Pro helps you do that with their laser bullet.
It's really all about trigger control. That's the key to shooting and being accurate is how you pull that trigger. And it takes a while before you get to the point to where you can actually just let it go till you hear that first click. And then you fire again the second round. And once you get trigger control, and it takes a long time, once you really get it, changes the way you shoot. And this is what our iTarget Pro helps you do.
You can go to itargetpro.com right now. Get 10% off with free shipping when you use promo code NEWS. That is itargetpro.com. All right, Glenn. Pete Buttigieg.
So he's running for president, and he sounds normal. I mean, ish.
For the left.
For the left. He sounds like a candidate that you would go, okay, well, I can listen to him. Like, he's gay, but I also really like Chick-fil-A, and I don't really have a problem with it.
Chicken too tasty. It was essentially the platform.
That's what it was. He was like, it's just too tasty. I do eat Chick-fil-A. So
I'm surprised that he's even allowed to survive just based on that alone.
Well, Salon said that he's not intersectional enough. That he's only a gay man, but he's a white man.
There it is.
And so he's not enough. But if you listen to him, he says a lot of things. I mean, his policies, stink. But he's a reasonable guy, and a guy who, takes his religion seriously. He's an Episcopalian, which, explains a lot of social justice stuff. But he is a rock solid guy who says, look, I believe in the free market, but this capitalism is killing us because of the way it's just out of control. There's no restraints on people, which again, I agree and disagree. I disagree with him, but I agree that there is a problem with the capitalism, the way we do it in America. It is in bed with the government. This guy is now coming up from behind. It's not where the party wants to go. The party wants to go hardcore socialist. They think America is like this girl. I want to show you this girl. She saw a meme of Pepe the Frog in a clown wig. And she was very upset about that. I want you to watch.
You're not going to take a symbol of happiness and acceptance and multiculturalism and turn it into something racist and anti-Semitic and homophobic and transphobic. You're not going to do that on my watch. You're not.
Okay, stop for a second. We're coming back.
That was Sarah.
We're coming back, but just put yourself in the state of mind where you see a Pepe the Frog, and it has a clown wig on it, and it upsets you so deeply that you either put on clown makeup or you're already wearing clown makeup, but one way or another you think, now's the time I should talk to the American people because I'll have credibility. Continue to watch.
So Pepe, he belongs to me now. Pepe the Frog, with his curly ass afro clown wig, belongs to me. That is a symbol of the resistance now. I encourage you all to share. I'm going to Photoshop a picture of Pepe with tons of pro LGBTQ symbols and pro.
This is who they're talking to, though.
See, that's what Pepe doesn't want to go home with this woman. Pepe does not want to go live with this woman. No one. Her cat's run away.
The Budweiser frog doesn't want to go. The Budweiser frog is hammered.
Pepe is hiding down in our plant right here. He doesn't want to go home with this lady. This is crazy.
Nobody does, but that's the Democratic base that they're playing to. I'm sorry, but there's not a lot of those people. And if there are, I want out.
Let me make people mad, because I know we go around the table, but let me just go ahead and make people mad. And I want to tell you, first of all, this is what I've come out with here recently, and it's ticking people off, but it's a fact. Donald Trump's not a conservative Republican. He's not a far-right guy. He's not even a right-leaning guy. He is just left of center. Okay, all you got to do is look at a lot of the decisions he's got, but they've made him such a far-right icon, even though he doesn't do that. His decisions and the things he's done have been very moderate, very pro-America, things that have always been pushed by Democratic leaders, and he's doing these things. In order to make him look like a far-right crazy person, they've got to go as far left as they can possibly do, to the point of jumping off the edge, because they have to make him look like an extremist. He's not. Donald Trump, President Donald Trump, is a left-of-center politician, period.
But he has an R in front of his name.
He's got an R in front of his name and an orange face. And I can see him sitting on the toilet at 3 a.m. with the whites around his eyes and the bikini spray tan and the whole thing. Just, oh, crazy Chuck. Now, I've told you this before. And so everybody, they've got to villainize him. They got to make him this angry guy. And this is what you get: cartoon frog protecting clown women.
Just say that again. Just America, I just want you to listen. Just say that again.
Cartoon frog protecting clown women is what you have.
Right.
You know, just add a vagina hat and you got it nailed down right there. I mean, that's all you need.
Stu?
I'm just amazed. Yes, it's amazing. It's like the saddest thing about this is you have to imagine that is the most important thing that has happened to this person and how long. Like, this is the story they tell each other for years. I was on TV talking about how I was defending Pepe or the clown's on her. I don't even know which one she's defending. The bottom line is, how dumb does it sound when she actually outlines it? I'm going to take control, and now it's a symbol of the resistance, and now I own this image of the clown combined with a frog. How dumb of a society are we? Like, what are you accomplishing with this? It's a giant nothing. Your entire life, with all that passion, makes you a zilch. A zilch. There's nothing coming out of that, and I just can't. I mean, that is our society as a whole. I mean, that is not even just this one clown,
cartoon frog, clown protecting woman. Yeah,
clown woman, right.
I don't think you're giving her enough credit. I think it's nice of her that in between her breaks at Barnum and Bailey's, she's going outside and posting.
Taking care of the spotted owl and the green lizard. It's time for Pepe to be drawn and drawn correctly without the clown, the hateful clown wig.
It's just.
It's asinine.
No, I
call it what it is.
I just want you to think how privileged you're
so
showing
true.
your privilege. Check your privilege, clown bitch. Look what's happening. I mean,
Run, Pepe.
Check your privilege. This is what you're upset about. People are worried about clean water and food and a job. You're worried about a cartoon frog in a clown wig.
Can I quick story? I was in Ivory Coast years ago, back in the 90s. I was in Abidjan, Ivory Coast, and we had a black pastor who had gone on the trip with us because he wanted to find his roots. Okay, he wanted to get back to his roots. So we're out there. We left a soccer stadium with 135,000 people where we had just spoken at this large event. And my friend and mentor, we got on the bus. This black pastor from Columbia, South Carolina, he gets on the bus and he sits by us and he goes, Y'all don't leave me. I don't know any of these people. Now look, the point being was he was so spoiled in a sense by African American culture that he goes to Africa and he sees really what's going on in the world in this country, and he's like, these aren't my people. So here's what I say. You want socialism? Let's drop you off in a true socialist country. Let's drop you off in Venezuela. If you really want to find your people, let's drop you off and see how long it is before you're back on the bus saying, get me the hell out of here.
Who are her people?
I don't know. You remember when they had those clown sightings around Texas? I did a video on that. I was like, I got a big bullet for the big clowns and a little bullet for the little clowns. We didn't see any more clown sightings.
You were talking about socialism.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Blase.
and real quick, I just want to point out that I think she was not defending Pepe the Frog. She was defending clowns.
clown,
No, she was.
Upset
Yeah, the clown.
that the clown was being hit by this racist image, which is Pepe.
Correct.
Which is not a racist image. It was drawn by a normal cartoonist who was not racist. But that's a whole different story. I just want to make sure we get that right, because this is what we're talking about. Vox may write an article about you saying Glenn Beck doesn't know the truth. Between the whole
The clown and the clown frog.
Is it a cartoon frog or clowns? What are we defending here?
I think she's
Clown.
defending the
She's defending
clown.
the clown.
I think, can you not tell by her appearance?
You know what? For the first time in my life, I'd rather talk about Hitler.
Okay, here we go.
Come on, Stu.
Hitler time. Let's do it. So Vox wrote an article a couple weeks ago, and I had to show much restraint to not get into a Jason Buttrill-style Twitter war about this with the authors at Vox, because I had tweeted something summarizing the article in half a tweet saying like, the name of their party is National Socialists, and you might
And
notice
Nazis was a pejorative.
Right, exactly. So you might notice that maybe they're socialist, and they're like, oh, that's the only reason you think that. Well, no, we've done multiple documentaries on it, and we've done a million interviews, and on this very show, I outlined in their entire 25-step, initial constitution, which goes through all of the steps of the foundations of the party. And Glenn, you also goes through this in your story for The Blaze, which is great. It goes through all of I think it's 8 arguments, the main arguments that people bring up, saying that Hitler was not a socialist. And there's a real reason for this. This seems silly, and there's some revisionist here, but it's not to tell you something about Hitler. It's to protect the word socialism. It's very important that it's not associated with someone evil like Hitler. It's the same reason why if you go out and you start tweeting about Venezuela and socialism, you'll get the Socialist Party coming back after you and saying they didn't do it right. This is what they spend their time doing.
There is no right.
Yeah.
There is no right. And I don't mean that like, it can never be done. I mean, well, that too. There is no right. When you lay it out, Marx laid out this philosophy. Yeah. You have to put it together. There is no do this, put this slot into this hole. You don't do it that way.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of different, just like with capitalism, by the way. I would love to see an Adam Smith capitalism. We haven't seen it yet. The people have not. No one's really fully gone down that road. Anyway, I encourage you to read the entire article. It's a long one, as it was started at about 3 or 4 paragraphs and turned into 20 pages. But it's important when you go down these roads to show that you really have done the homework.
You want the definitive. Oh, yes, Virginia, Hitler was a socialist. Yes. That's the name of the article. It's in The Blaze.
And people do need to read it. It's a scholarly article. It's well done and it's well documented. I also encourage people, as you did in the article, people need to read, the rise and fall of the Third Reich.
Read Mein Kampf.
Read Mein Kampf.
Exactly. You should read Mein Kampf. It's terrifying.
So just to give you a little bullet points, though, on it, we actually did do a documentary, a good chunk of it, on this particular topic. I have a couple clips for you to give you some of the highlights of yes, Hitler actually was a socialist. Watch.
November 28, 1925. A tiny article printed in the New York Times describing the early internal struggle for the identity of the Nazis. A riot broke out after a Nazi speaker claimed that Lenin was the greatest man second only to Hitler, and the difference between communism and the Hitler faith was very slight. It wasn't just some nobody in the Nazi party who believed this. It was this man, Hitler's closest ally to the very end, and his hand-picked successor as chancellor, Joseph Goebbels.
Now, again, it's pretty clear that this was the foundation of the party. They were literally having these fights out in the open. It was not controversial at the time. But it's not just very early times. There's more to it than that. Watch.
The communists in the Reichstag voted almost uniformly with the Nazis. They voted in lockstep, and the slogan for the communists in the Reichstag was first brown, then red. The general understanding among the communists, among socialists back then, was that Nazism was a stepping stone towards the ultimate victory of socialism and communism.
And of course, this is why you saw all the socialist parties at the time cheer the Nazis on. You saw the socialist papers at the time. Socialist parties around the world thought this was a really good thing. They didn't think they had it exactly right, Nazism, but they were happy to accept this as a stepping stone. And then finally, the words of Adolf Hitler himself, in his most famous work, Mein Kampf. Watch.
He embraced socialism entirely. He embraced the idea of racial solidarity, of socialism for one race.
Even in Mein Kampf, he acknowledged that the movements were so close that if not for the focus on race, his National Socialist movement would really do nothing more than compete with Marxism on its own ground.
But other than all of
that
things.
and everything in the article. I mean, again, you can try to do these things. You can try to be revisionist and act as if these things did not occur, but they did. And this is a documentary we did for Fox News 8 years.
We did another one later. Do you remember the scene in one of the documentaries we've done showed the big, huge boats for the universal health care? That if you were a Nazi party member, you were part of the National Socialist group, your union would be allowed to go on this big dental boat cruise, and everybody would get free health care and free shots and everything else. What do you call that besides socialism?
I get all my dental work done on cruises. That's what I do.
I thought I was the only one. Oh, really? All right, you can get Glenn's article right now at theblaze.com. We'll be back.
Buttigieg.
Buttigieg.
Jason Buttigieg.
Before we jump back into the conversation, I want to thank our sponsor, realestateagentsitrust.com.
Realestateagentsitrust.com was started by my wife and I and my brother. When I started working with real estate agents across the country on another project, and these were all like the 500 best real estate agents, according to the Wall Street Journal. They do this poll every year, and they find the 500 best. These are the people who just sell houses like that. And we were having a hard time selling our house, and I'm like, so what is the secret? Well, it turns out there's 3 secrets, and they're not really secrets, not like ancient Chinese secret. It's really quite simple, but nobody does it. And it starts with, are you promoting the homes, or are you taking your money and promoting you? And most real estate agents promote themselves. The big real estate agents, some of these guys are selling more than all other real estate agents in the area combined. Wow. It's an amazing thing. So we put their values together. We started looking for those kinds of agents, and we came up with realestateagentsitrust.com, which is, we're not a real estate company. We just hook you up with the right agent to help you find a house or to sell your house. Realestateagentsitrust.com.
Chad, finally, there's a college course out there where we can study your species.
There's one I get. It's one I understand. I think I can ace this one. Now, I took a DNA test several months ago after Elizabeth Warren came back with her results. I wanted to see how much Native American was in me. Or none, zero, absolutely none. There was none. There's no, I am 100% white, 100% European. I'm Scandinavian. I'm British.
You're 100%.
Look at this. I'm going to lift the hat. I know. Well, I spray that on. So, yeah. I either spend some time in the sun or I spray that on. But let me just tell you, white men unite. Now, you can have vagina hat rallies out in the street, ladies. You can dress your men up in these ways. We're going to have a foreskin rally. We're going to wear turtlenecks. It's going to look funny on you bald-headed guys. But let me just tell you, the University of Kansas and their pseudo-intellectual bastion for liberal studies that is being funded by the federal government, let me just tell you, there's a new course you can take. It's a 300-level course, and it is called Angry White Men. Now, you guys understand, since the 50s, there has been this phenomena of the angry white man that the liberal wants you to believe in. You take Archie Bunker, for instance. Here's a guy all in the family. The world is changing him around him. He's got black neighbors. He's being dealt with all of these social situations that are happening in the 60s and 70s, and he just can't deal with the world around him, and he ultimately is the problem himself because he's just an angry white guy. Well, here we are these days watching culture, watching equality, watching minorities rise to places of leadership and equality, and apparently us white guys just can't handle it. So the University of Kansas is going to offer a course taught by a white male professor.
Because of course.
Because of course, you can't make this up.
No.
They tried to get Pepe the Frog. He was otherwise indisposed.
He's putting on clown weight.
He was at the P.T. Barnum show. So they're going to teach a course. So my question is, how far with this can you go? Can you get a doctoral degree in in male white anger? Can you get a master's degree in male white anger? So here we are in a world where, forget Title IX, because this is a Title IX violation. This is absolutely talking about discrimination. So it's okay to be sexist, it's okay to be racist, as long as you're making fun or pointing out the flaws in white males.
Yeah,
And
I mean, could you imagine angry black women?
Angry black women. Angry black lesbians.
Yeah.
I mean, let's do a class about that. I've seen a few. I've had discussions with a few of them. I know they exist. So, this is where we are. This is where we are. This is the world we're living in these days, where your kids can go off to college. And if they can't get in, hey, if you're rich enough, you can buy their way in. They'll be great on the road crew. So here you go. You can go to University of Kansas, take a 300-level course on angry white men.
It's amazing.
I just don't understand why people spend money on college.
Yes,
At all.
I'm with you on that.
It's a joke.
There's a new piece written by Kyle Korver, who's like a three-point shooting guard, small forward in the NBA, who was writing about his privilege. He realized he had privilege because, he would notice that occasionally, sometimes, a story would be in the paper about one of his teammates getting arrested, and he realized, I wonder what he did. Instead of just assuming his innocence, I guess, and blaming the police like you're supposed to, like a real woke person does. And it kind of gives this big argument, which is bizarre, because, he's near the end of his career, may very well just be looking for a commentating gig, so you can kind of see the motivation. But on the other side of it, it's like he's in the one profession on earth in which it's terrible to be white. Like, this is like, you are in the NBA. Like, if you are an equal player with someone who is not white, they're going to get picked. Like, it is actually the one place where privilege works the other way for sure, and yet he's still complaining about being too privileged and too white. And I think it's like this thing where, don't judge people by the color of the skin has legitimately turned into only judge people by the color of their skin. What are you supposed to do? The things you're supposed to do if you have the supposed privilege is what? Not be a racist, right? Not bully people around, judge people by their merit, right? Like, you should do all these things. Well, we're doing those things. What else are you supposed to do? How am I supposed to shed this privilege? I mean, I change the color of my skin, have a surgery? There's no way to win this war. And of course, that's the way it's designed. Yeah. And it's actually completely turned around to the point where, the idea that Martin Luther King had has been completely derailed. It's really the only thing you're allowed to judge people by now. It's racist the other way.
I would also like to say, before we go, that if I was demonized for the color of my skin and blamed for all of society's problems and told that I was toxic all the time, I would probably be angry too. Okay. Back in a minute.
Oh, I guess he's a little more sensitive.
Chad, what are you up to lately? You going anywhere soon?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to be all over. I'm going to be in Spokane, Washington. I'm going to be in Lake Charles, Louisiana, Boise, Idaho Falls. I'll be up there in your neck of the woods.
Yeah.
Heading up that way.
Beautiful.
God's country.
When are you going to be up in Idaho?
Wyoming. What's that?
When are you going to be in Idaho?
I'm going to be there the 25th and 26th of this month, April. So, yeah.
How do you keep up with you just rattle off?
It's my life, woman.
That you're
That's what I
going.
do.
Don't you
Oh
have
my
people
gosh,
for
did
that?
you hear the woman?
I'm an angry white man.
Wow.
Assign her gender. Don't you dare.
It's
She's a she and a they.
Right. I am a baby.
She's a G.
I'm a G. And a baby.
Yeah, well.
And a
baby?
cisgender.
What's a baby?
Instead of a
You don't want to give your baby a gender.
A baby.
It's a baby.
Good heavens.